Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Clevelander Chris Rose of the MLB Network was in Boston last week for the Red Sox-Astros series. Several Houston players told him they would love to have their team acquire Trevor Bauer before the trade deadline. That would be interesting because Bauer is almost universally hated by the team in Texas, but it also would make sense for both teams. Houston has at least 4 players who are major league ready in their organization, and Bauer could bring a major leaguer or two from their potent lineup. If I were the Indians, I'd seriously consider a trade, but I would wait about 3 weeks until I was absolutely sure that I'm ready to concede the AL Central to Houston. The D-Man Dennis Maniloff is with us. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine in its 23rd consecutive years, and as always, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Seen exclusively with me, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. D-Man, we got to light it up here tonight, our last show of the week, and then you got no live show on Monday because of the holiday. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm checking my phone to see if David Gilbert has gotten any more events to come to Cleveland.
I got to tell you something. I have said this forever. If we had 5 David Gilberts in this city, it would be unsurpassed.
Yeah.
He is, for those who don't know, we're talking about the chairman of the CEO of the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, and with a hand tied behind his back, and that would be a stadium that doesn't have a convertible dome. The things he pulls off, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doesn't get enough credit.
Exactly. And he's such a humble guy. He doesn't ask for it, doesn't want it. But you think of all that he's done with the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission to bring revenue producers, revenue enhancers to Cleveland. And the more he brings, the more it spawns. You know, it's like you get that resume and now all of a sudden it's an easier sell.
If somebody says, can you do it? He says, yeah, look at this.
Look at what we've done. Exactly. Once you build up that cachet, then it becomes that much easier. But, here the NFL draft in 2021, I believe, has David Griffin's fingerprints. David Gilbert, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I keep mixing those two up.
Yeah.
Has Gilbert's fingerprints all over it. Of course, credit can be spread around, I guess, to Mayor Jackson, certainly the Browns.
We're going to give it to David Gilbert.
But Gilbert, to me, and the Sports Commission, they should take the biggest bow.
You know, when you think about it, this will be in 2 years, 2021.
Yes.
And it's almost the perfectly located city or area for this. Now, the downside is end of April. Who knows what the weather's going to be like? That won't be good. However, you got the city of Cleveland. You look at the map. And you've got Buffalo and Pittsburgh down to Cincinnati, over to Indianapolis, and then up to Detroit and even Chicago. We get hampered because we don't have an airplane hub anymore. Once Continental left and United and all that stuff. But this will be so easy for people within a 4 or 5 hour drive. Come be my guest. Come enjoy our city. And spend money.
And you would think that Burke Lakefront would be very busy, as it was for the Cubs Indians World Series.
Right.
That is a place that is going to be used a lot for this. But here's what I think happened, Les. I have watched the NFL draft over the years, but I haven't been a devoted, like, every minute of every hour. This year, though, I watched the Nashville production more so than others.
Just to see what it was?
And it feels to me like Nashville set the bar that much higher.
Well, yeah, but now you're going to have to follow Las Vegas.
True, and I think Vegas looks at what Nashville did because maybe other cities did this and I missed it, but it looked to me like Nashville created a festival, like an NFL draft festival, and had it pour out into the streets. and you could be a mile away on a street in Nashville and be part of the NFL draft party. That's what I think is the new norm for the NFL draft. It's not just gather around a big screen TV in an indoor facility with Goodell at the podium. It's now an outdoor event, like an extravaganza or a flea market.
So where do you think it's going to be? Is it all the public square and continue over to the Rock Hall and where else?
I mean, I think
it's not going to involve Canton.
Two logical. Well, that's the other thing. Kind of a strange turn of events.
No, but don't you think a ton of people during the day, when the draft is at night, don't you think a ton of people are going to be driving down to the Hall of Fame?
Sure. I'm sorry that Canton didn't get it, because remember they were in it last year. But I think now Cleveland can work with Canton and they can synchronize the whole Hall of Fame visit and up and down 71. But as far as in Cleveland goes, I would think a logical spot would be the lakefront. One logical spot would be the lakefront with the Rock Hall included in that, and the connection to the stadium proximity-wise, and all the people you could jam down there. And you also have you got to remember, you have to have the indoor bailout plan, because the initial hope is that it be an outdoor event. But if it has to go indoors, you got to have a legitimate facility to take it indoors.
Well, that's why you got the stadium.
Stadium or the Rock Hall or the convention center, I guess, is a legitimate indoor facility, as well as, in far as the outdoor goes, another option would be Public Square.
Well, and I wonder if the actual place where Goodell will be, I wonder if that would be the IX Center.
There's another one. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of the IX Center.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. All right, you heard my voice of truth and reason in the beginning talking about Trevor Bauer. I don't know how close you listened, but what do you think about packaging him up and maybe even giving him to the rival Houston Astros?
Well, here's the reason why what you say. You always say smart things, Les, and this is why this one in particular is on point, because the Indians could very well fall 10 games back of the Twins within a week.
And to me, that's the number. Once it hits 10, it's over.
It's proven that way. Since MLB's gone to divisions and the wild card in 94. Remember, they started in 94 and they couldn't do it because of the strike. So the first year was 95.
Right.
Since then, very few times has a team that has fallen behind by double digits come back to win its division at any point in the season. In other words, you say, well, we fall back by 10 in May. What's the big deal? We got plenty of time to care. History says if you fall back by double digits at any point in the season, your odds of winning the division are very slim.
It's like the old thing, climbing the mountain. You get to it and then you settle off. And you're not really starting from the beginning. You're really starting from behind.
Right, and nothing would surprise me in the matter of Trevor Bauer, okay? You say, well, why would the Indians, who consider themselves a playoff contender, want to trade Trevor Bauer? Well, it'd have to be for the right price. You're not going to give him away. If Houston's a suitor, then presumably the Indians will have scouted the Houston minor league system, gotten their prime prospects, and hopefully plucked at least one major league bat out of there. Although, if you're the Astros, you don't want to weaken your major league lineup for the sake of bringing in a pitcher. You might be robbing Peter to pay Paul. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Trevor Bauer is moved for any number of reasons, including his stance. I'm going to beat you in arbitration every year. I'm not signing long term. You won't be able to afford me. So, although I don't know if he's ever actually said that. He'll probably yell at me if he finds out I said that. But the bottom line is, it wouldn't shock me in the least if Bauer was moved.
I said last night, I don't like using this word, but it looked like the Indians, watching him yesterday and through the series, it looks like they quit. Again, I hate using that word, but it looked like it.
Wait, which game? You mean yesterday's game? Wednesday's game?
Yeah, 7-2.
I mean, I wouldn't say that unless sometimes you concede defeat within a game, and you sub guys in and out.
That's what I saw.
Okay, but I don't know that that's quitting. I think it's just, we're going to get beat here. But, I mean, that's a manageable score still, 7-2. So it was not a good series.
No.
You're playing a team that came in sub 500, ended the series at 500, the Oakland Athletics. But here's the thing, Les. The Indians are 25-23 going into tonight's game against Tampa. You say, well, at least they're over 500 even with injuries to key guys. However, the vast majority of the games they've played this year are against bad teams.
Right. They'll get some good teams this week.
They haven't played very many good teams.
Yeah.
And when they have, they've lost.
Well,
I think they're like 4-6.
Now you got Tampa Bay. Then this week you're going to have New York and Boston.
Next few weeks you're going to see Tampa, New York, Boston, sprinkle in a 3-gamer against Minnesota.
You don't see the guy that they need, and that's Yandy Diaz.
Yeah, the Indians catch a break. Diaz will not be available as far as I knew going into today. Coming to the show today, I heard he was unavailable for the series because of a hand injury. It would have been just like Yandy Diaz to come in here, or just like the former Indian to come in here and hit 4 home runs in a 4-game series while the Indians watched Jake Bauers continue to struggle. And it was like, okay, the Indians swapped out Bauers for Diaz for Bauers in the offseason. So no Diaz to worry about on the Tampa front.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. No live show Monday night. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow in for Jeff Phelps along with Andy Baskin. That'll be from 10 until 2. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment with Dennis Maniloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Today is May 23rd, born on this date, Dummy Hoy. Do you know who Dummy Hoy was?
I do not.
An outfielder. Now, this is not politically correct, I must admit. An outfielder who could not hear, was deaf. And in those days, using the term dummy applied to them. And Dummy was an outfielder, couldn't tell what the count was when the umpire, let's say a 2-1 count, but he didn't know. So the umpires actually came up and put their hands up when there was a strike, so the dummy and anybody else with that problem was able to tell what the count was. So that he was born in 1869. I apologize for the politically incorrect thing, but that's the way it was back then. Zach Wheat was born on this date. Red salad. I usually get you're going for a steak and a red salad. I guess that would be a wedge salad. Buck Showalter, seen on the left. Jordan Zimmerman and Aaron Donald, all born on the 23rd of May. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Maniloff is with us. Watching, well, one part, I guess it's good news. Corey Kluber had the cast removed today. Still a long way from throwing, but that was the next step.
Yeah, Kluber and Clevenger seem to be making it back. We don't know exactly when they're going to return to the Major League mound, but it doesn't sound like there's been any setbacks.
No.
Which is very important.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
When Santana was here last time,
Yes.
he led off for the most part.
Yes.
And was pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put him back in the leadoff spot and maybe put Lindor in the third position?
I'd think about it less, although, Lindor's not exactly struggling. I mean, he's doing what he does. But all of this, to me, is going to be window dressing if Jose Ramirez, for one notable example, cannot figure it out. Now, beyond Ramirez, you're looking at people like Kipnis need to step their games up. You got to have somebody out of this young group of Bowers and Mercado and maybe Naquin. One of these guys has got to get hot, and I mean be hot for a while. But certainly Ramirez, because he has it on his baseball card that he was an MVP candidate. Oh, I don't know, as far back as last year. Or as recently as last year,
right.
He was an MVP candidate. Whatever happened to Jose Ramirez, who enters tonight with an OPS below 600? That's unheard of.
It is. It's unbelievable. Give me that stat about the triples or lack thereof.
Yeah, I had the show last night on WTAM in the evening because the Indians played during the day, and it's a triples watch. The Indians and the Marlins entering last night. Now, I don't know if the Marlins got a triple in their game last night, but entering last night's play, the Indians and the Marlins were tied for the major league, for the fewest amount of triples in the majors with 0. The Royals led, I believe, with 21. So the Indians and Marlins at 0, 21 behind the Royals. And one of the guests I had on the show last night was Zach Meisel, covers the Indians for The Athletic. And I said, Zach, final question, who's going to get the Indians' first triple? And he said he thought it would be Oscar Mercado. But it is kind of fascinating. And these two teams now, I'm assuming the Marlins didn't get one last night. Assuming they're both at 0, they are now setting the standard for longest to start a season without a triple since, I think it's 1918. It's just really amazing because
100 years.
It's not like the Indians have a bunch of slow guys.
Years. No.
I mean, they have Ramirez and Lindor and Naquin when he's healthy can run. Kipnis can run a little bit. Mercado can run. I mean, he hasn't been up much. But yeah, 0 triples.
The Indians, a little bit more bad news. That is, last night there was a very rare rainout in Anaheim. Anaheim and the Minnesota Twins, and they're replaying it today. And the Twins lead it. What did we see? 8-3.
It was 8-2 during show prep. It was 8-2 in the 5th. Now maybe that's changed, but the Twins are just mashing. And I know that we in Cleveland will sit here. Oh, it can't possibly continue. Well, maybe not. But even if they play at 75% of their offensive efficiency, they're still daggone good. Today, I'm looking at the box score as we get ready for the show, and like I said, when it was 8-2.
Yeah, it's 9-2 now in the 7th.
9-2. You already had homers by Jonathan Scope. You had a homer by Jorge Polanco, and you had a homer by C.J. Cron. They don't even have Nelson Cruz right now. He's on the IL with a left hand or left wrist injury.
The Indians and Twins will have a 3-game series soon, so you almost have to think they need a sweep, right?
I mean, you would think so. Listen, the Twins do not have a stellar rotation. That's established. We get that. Guys like Martin Perez can't possibly be as good as they are right now. That said, in the American League, if you have a good lineup or a lineup that's capable of mashing, you can carry an average to decent pitching staff. And I think that's what you're seeing with the Twins so far. Entering today, Les, they had 90 homers. The Indians had 51. 50 or 51,
Well, the old bromide in baseball is that good pitching stops good hitting, but you still have to score some runs. And I think the way the game is played now, scoring runs is needed more than maybe in the recent past.
I'll take it a step further, Les. Hitting homers to score runs is essential in today's game. And here's the key. offenses can carry you to regular season heights where you need to go regular season-wise. Certainly in the playoffs, a great pitching staff can shut down a really good offense in a short series. But over a 6-month haul, when you need to win a division, you better have an offense in the American League or you're not going
Well,
places.
and you said if you have stellar starters, there's not a lot of great staffs out there right now. The Indians should be considered one of the top staffs in baseball.
When healthy, even when Kluber is dominant, and even when Bauer is dominant, you can't, or Clevenger, any of those guys, you can't expect to win 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 on a regular basis.
Not the way the game is played now. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing through Monday through Wednesday and Saturday evenings, and a special racing card this holiday weekend on Sunday, May 26th. Post time for that is 6 p.m. Players Club members can enter the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win the top prize, $500 in cash, all from Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. Dennis Maniloff and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems. Unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. We had this one sent in. How about this one, D-Man? How come the sign at the Alabama Turnpike says toll ride instead of roll tide?
Wow, that's excellent.
It is excellent.
And you came up with a great one for future use in the pre-show meeting.
Have to clean it, dust it off a little bit. 216-575-0403. This is interesting news, and from your experience and mine, it's a positive if you want Gerald McCoy of, who's now looking for a job. And he will be here in Cleveland. That's been confirmed by John Dorsey. He'll be here tomorrow. The other suitors potentially, Carolina and Cincinnati. My guess is, D-Man, from your experience and again from mine, if you're first one in the door and you got to be the ones who don't mess it up. If you want him, you can't let him out of Cleveland without a signed contract.
Yeah, I think there's maybe even more suitors than you mentioned for McCoy. He certainly wants to get paid. The Tampa didn't want to pay him, couldn't afford to pay him in their minds. He's a terrific player still. The question is, you got to convince him. Well, number one, you got to show him the money.
Right.
Because he'll say,
and by the way, Ndamukong Suh, the number that was out, made public, is probably wrong. It looks like he signed for him in the $9 million range.
Yeah. So you're going to have to show McCoy the money, number one. And number two, he's going to look at this and go, all right, Garrett and Vernon are on the bookends. That's fine. But what about this Ogunjobi and Richardson situation? So we're rotating? And he has to be okay with that.
Well, don't you think in this day and age that linemen need to be rotated? More so than any other defensive position?
Coaches would love to do that. And maybe, but I don't know if the player does. Now, maybe McCoy says, at this stage of my career, you can get the best out of me in a rotation. So I'm willing to do it. I haven't spoken to McCoy, so I don't know if that's his line of thinking.
No, but you get him here first. You can't, if you want him, you can't let him out of the building.
True, and I would also think that McCoy would decline a visit to Cleveland if he looked at it and said, I'm absolutely not going to be rotating in.
Right. He understands by the time he gets here.
Sure.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Matt. Matt is in Aurora. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Les.
How are you?
Good.
Good. What's on your mind?
Hey, so Santana, are the Indians paying him the free agent contract that he signed back in Philly?
Santana?
Yeah.
Yes. I believe he's still under that the contract. But they kind of balanced it out with the Encarnacion. I thought they offset each other, Encarnacion and Santana.
Yeah, although Santana had an extra year.
Yeah, they're not getting him for free. I'm not trying to say that, but yes, I think they are paying him.
What's the point, Matt?
Well, the point is that the Dolans are paying a big free agent contract, right?
Well, but he wasn't a free agent. They had to acquire him in a trade, and they were on the hook for Encarnacion for one more year.
I think he's saying that when he was traded from here to Philadelphia, when he signed with Philadelphia, he signed a free agent contract.
3 years, $60 million.
Right. So yeah, the Indians have absorbed that, if that's what the question is.
Yeah. Hey, Les and Dennis, were you at the new Cavs coach press conference?
I was. D-Man wasn't. I was.
I saw it on TV, and then I haven't seen all the ones in the past, but it was a bit odd, right?
Why? What was odd?
Him having to answer the questions about why he's coming to the pro ranks, and some of the other situations, but and the way Dan Gilbert introduced him.
Well,
and Kobe Altman.
Yeah, Dan Gilbert's introduction was a little strange. I didn't find anything strange from Beeline. You there?
Okay.
I think that. Listen, it's like the golden parachute of his career, right? You get the last 5 years, assumingly it's $5-6 million a year, and probably the way the Cavaliers work, they don't have to ever finish the contract.
Yeah, that's true. It's unusual for a coach to begin his NBA head coaching tenure in his late 60s. But if anybody could do it, Beeline can, because he was one of the best college coaches
no question.
in the last 10 years.
The problem he's going to have is 82 games in the regular season, but he will have
Bickerstaff.
He'll have Bickerstaff and probably another former NBA assistant to do that end of the deal. And I think he's just a teacher, and I think from that standpoint he's a good one. But he's going to have to understand the NBA game, which is a little bit different. But I think he can relate to these players, and I'm not saying he's bringing them a championship, but under the circumstances, I'm glad they went his way. I think he was tired of the recruiting war with guys who cheated. Is that a fair statement?
100% agree. And Beeline's got too much class to go on a tour and tell everybody, hey, this guy over here is cheating or that guy over here is cheating. But it had to be just making him sick because he's universally applauded as clean.
Right.
No one that I know of says anything about Beeline cheating.
No, not at all.
And so he probably got sick of the culture.
And by the way, I mentioned earlier the travel with the 82 games. The travel in the off season for a coach at that level is brutal anyway. Fighting for position in the as far as recruiting is concerned. Matt, anything else tonight?
Yeah, he has to get along with the players, right? I mean, that's what we don't know. He can do, right?
Well, that's always a question. You're dealing with guys who make as much or more money than you do, which was never the case at the college level. So, but I think his history shows that he does get along well with these players, and we'll see if it transfers.
Hey, the NFL event, the draft. Were you guys at the press conference today?
I was not. No, I was not. I heard it on radio.
Yeah.
Listen, hopefully the Browns aren't anywhere near the top of that.
Agreed.
The first couple of picks. Hopefully they're picking in the late 20s. All right, great to hear from you. Have a great holiday weekend. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, is with us. If you can't get us when we do the show live from 6 until 7 Eastern Time, 6 to 7 p.m. By the way, I met a guy today who watches us a Clevelander who watches us from Singapore. True story. Anyway, you can call us anytime to leave a message. He's 12 hours difference, by the way. We'll use the best calls in a future show. That number for the voicemail of Truth and Reason is 216-200-6650. Dennis Maniloff and I return in a moment. We're halfway through. Look at that shot. We are brought to you exclusively. Wake up, guys! Exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
This date in sports history, 1978, the American League approves the transfer of the Boston Red Sox to Jean Yawkey from her husband for $15 million. Red Sox in that year, 1978, were worth only $15 million. That's unbelievable. Well, I think I'm becoming a Minnesota Twins fan. Seventh inning, they are leading Anaheim, or California Angels, or Los Angeles Angels by a score of 14-2. And they will go up 7.5 games on your Tribe, and 7
Pending
homers.
the outcome of tonight's game.
Yeah, 7 homers for Minnesota.
Yeah, the Twins have only hit 7 homers so far, and Nelson Cruz is not playing because of an injury.
You know, you talk about money, spending money. The Angels have spent the money on Pujols and now with Mike Trout, and is that a case that they load up so much on 1 or 2 guys that they have nothing left to get other people?
Not necessarily, because there is no salary cap in baseball, and these owners have proven they can, spend more than just a big money contract, or one single contract. But it does point to something I've asked you about on the show before, Les. Why is it in the NBA, it's always about titles with the stars, right? If they don't win a title, their career is a bust. They have to go chase rings, or we're going to hold them accountable, and their legacies are going to be tarnished. Yet in baseball,
doesn't matter.
With stars, nobody cares. I mean, Mike Trout, when is he going to sniff a World Series ring? What about Bryce Harper? How many times has Bryce Harper been in the World Series? 0. How many times has Manny Machado been there? 1. With the Dodgers last year. How many times has Mike Trout been in the World Series? 0. Yeah. Why do I mention those 3 guys? Because those 3 guys this offseason signed contracts worth $1 billion. Okay? $1 billion. They haven't sniffed a World Series ring.
How does that business model work, that you put that much money on one guy? I know there's no salary cap and anybody can do the same thing. But how do you put that kind of $300 million, $400 million? How do you do? And that's just the precursor of what's to come, unless owners get smart.
And the reason I get fired up about it, Les, is this: I think because somehow we, and I say the media, we in the media, whatever it is, create this pressure on these NBA players to go chase rings, what happens then? They feel compelled to create super teams.
Right.
We have to create a super team. Why? Because everybody's telling us we got to win rings or we're a bust. So it hurts the product when you tell a player he has to win a ring. But the same standard is not held to the MLB superstar.
I got to ask you a question we started with earlier in this week. When you rank the players in the NBA history, yes. And you can argue, the argument Michael versus LeBron or Bill Russell or whoever you want in there, Kareem. Does Steph Curry get himself into the top 10?
I wouldn't put him there, but I guess I have to listen to the case being made for him. The greatest shooter in the history of the game and all the titles that he's going to have. By the way, another one this year.
Yeah, and
don't tell me that the Bucks or the Raptors are going to beat this team 4 times in 7 days.
Whether they got
not going to happen.
If they have Kevin Durant or not, it's not going to matter. But in the top 10, probably who's the top guard in the top 10? Isaiah Thomas?
I mean, that's
is that possible?
Point. Thomas and Jordan, of course.
Unless you count,
Stockton is up there, but
Nash.
Maybe
if you're not talking about point guards, you probably Jerry West is one of your guards, right?
Yeah, and nowadays in positionless basketball, it's almost hard to judge these guys by position. But when you talk about all-time greats, I've always felt 2 guys get short shrifted: Kareem and Wilt. They don't get talked about enough. Yes, they get talked about, but not enough. When you look at the numbers that Abdul-Jabbar and Chamberlain put up, they're just beyond belief.
Well, you put Russell with them or below them?
Well, Russell has to be mentioned among the all-time greats.
Right.
In your handful of all-time greats, to me, when I'm thinking of them, I'm thinking of, obviously Jordan and LeBron. Wilt is right there as a candidate with Kareem, Magic. Who would you just mention?
West.
Bill Russell, because just an unbelievable player and a winner.
The only downside on Russell and some of those other guys, and you talk about how many rings they have, they only had to win one round, and they had to win one round to get themselves to the finals.
That's true.
Now you got to win 3.
And it speaks to me, I think the NBA playoffs are too punitive. Who says that there has to be 3 7-game series to get to a 4th? Just because the Stanley Cup playoffs MO is that way?
What do you want, 3 out of 5?
Well, I'm saying in order to create more potential for upsets and less chalk, you've got to have an upstart team have an ability to get through the first 3 rounds.
Right.
Or, I know they want to go 4 rounds total, but maybe you cut it down to 3 rounds
Well, here's
total.
what's happened. Now you got 4 out of 7s, and they go 4 out of 7 for the most part, and they leave the survivor, the teams ready for the finals. One team is so much better that the sweeps or the 4 games to 1 series happens more with the better teams, or the further you go in the playoffs. And I don't think that's the way it should be designed, or was designed.
Yes, and that's true, Les. And also, very rarely do you get an upstart team into the NBA Finals. Why is that?
Too long.
Because it's too punitive.
Yeah.
You can upset your way through 1 round, but you're not going to upset your way through 3 7-game series. And you say, well, don't you want the best teams to be playing each other at the end? Yeah, but there's no drama then. Do you want drama? Do you want excitement? Do you want turnover? Do you want different teams in the finals, or do you want chalk all the time?
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's what the NBA is dealing with.
They play so hard the first 2 or 3 series, they don't have enough to go 4 out of 7 in the finals. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, is with us. No live show on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. I will be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 10 until 2, in for Jeff Phelps along with Andy Baskin. Sokolowski's University Inn, they've got the big wine tasting contest event coming up on the 2nd of June. It's a Sunday afternoon. I just plunked down my money for my opportunity to purchase that ticket, and I'll be there on the 2nd of June. It's Wente Wines celebrating their 100th anniversary in the wine business, and of course Sokolowski's University in just a couple years shy of that. Call for information. Check them out on the website to find out more about the big wine tasting event combined with Wente Wines, and that'll be on Sunday, June the 2nd, and that's coming up a week from this Sunday. Like to see you there. Like to take a break, and we'll come back in a moment with This Date in Les Levine history and the Week in Review. When we get back, more sports and Les Levine seen exclusively with Dennis Maniloff on cleveland.com.
The concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Naturestone flooring. Naturestone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. Plus, Naturestone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Naturestone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history, D-Man. Back in 1964, Les tells the 11-year-old Brush High School bat boy to separate the right-handed bats from the left-handed ones. You don't want to get them confused. This week in review, we go back to the beginning of the week, 1979, with the tying and winning runs on first and second. With one man out, Les was told to strike out on purpose rather than hitting into a double play to end the game. Smart move by the manager, right? We continue on. What else happened this week? 1983, a nutritionist tells Les that he has to lose some weight. That night, Les orders a pizza with 6 slices instead of 8. Again, smart move on my part. See that guy up there, that picture of that guy?
Yes.
They used to call him Fat Les. Where do you see any fat on that guy?
You're not fat.
Unbelievable. Those people should be ashamed of themselves. 216-575-0403. By the way, the phone number for Sokolowski's 216-771-8967. That's 771-8967. Dennis Maniloff is with us as we continue into the holiday weekend. The Indians at home tonight taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We got off to a great start, D-Man, but New York is really a great story. I hate the Yankees. I've hated them forever. It's something that all parents should pass on to their sons and daughters, right? To hate the Yankees. And yet, with all the injuries they've had, you talk about the money that was spent on guys who were injured, and they're 2 games up now on Tampa Bay, although not too far behind the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, and the Yankees deserve credit for this, but at the same time, because they have so much wealth, they can afford to make mistakes. They can literally afford, I'm not misusing the word literally, they can literally afford to make mistakes because they have high-priced guys coming in.
Yeah, they basically have a total team on the bench.
Yeah, but it's still a credit to them because younger guys, the likes of Clint Frazier, those types, are doing it now with the big guns out.
All right, we had a caller talked about John Beeline. Oh, you wanted to refer to that?
Yeah, the Carlos Santana contract situation. I thought we were right. We were. Santana signed a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Phillies, all guaranteed. $10 million of that was a signing bonus. So this year, the Indians,
that money was gone. The Indians weren't involved in that. That was paid off already.
No, it's actually prorated. It's spread out. So this year, the Indians are on the hook for $20,333,333, and that is a $17 million base and a $3.3 million signing bonus.
All right, in this day and age,
the Indians' contract.
In this day and age, he's worth
Santana.
For this team.
Yeah, as long as he keeps it up. You know, I mean, I didn't expect him to hit 400
he's off to a better
after
start.
the first couple
Off
of
to a
weeks,
better
but
start than he's been in maybe forever.
Listen, Santana's been the least of the Indians' concerns this year.
Okay, we talked about John Beilein before. Let's delve into that a little bit. I don't know what his team is going to look like. I don't know what his offense is going to look like. I like the signing, but they still need players, and they don't have many.
That's true. I think a good place to start is a Colin Sexton to come under Beilein's wing and grow as a player, because Beilein, as you said, is a teacher first and foremost, and he just got done coaching youngsters the likes of Colin Sexton.
Right.
You know, so in Beilein's mind, it might be a guy he just landed at Michigan.
Yeah,
you know, that's playing for
and
him.
he played him up at the press conference the other day. He had worked with him already, which I thought was interesting.
Sure, and you see Nance Jr. was there at the thing, and you saw him there. You saw a video of him, but I mean, there's not much in terms of a core that I see with the Cavs. I mean, you have Sexton, maybe Zizic fits in somewhere. Osman, legit part of the core. Larry Nance Jr., jury's still out on how good he can be.
Hard to believe you still have Tristan Thompson.
You still
and
have
Kevin
Thompson.
Love.
You've got Clarkson for another year, unless you trade him midseason. Kevin Love is your anchor. Good luck to Beilein trying to get 75 to 82 games out of Kevin Love. But when I heard that Beilein was hired as the Cavs coach, a little bit surprised, but then again, you say, okay, Dan Gilbert wants to make a splash. He wants to go out of the what you think he's going to do in terms of remember all those names were mentioned,
Sure.
all those assistants. I'm not going to say I didn't think one of them was going to be the guy, but I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if Gilbert tried something else. And once Izzo said no for the 16 millionth time, he's like, all right, I'll slide over to Ann Arbor and see if I can pluck Beilein. But I think that Beilein will do fine as long as what you pointed out, as long as he doesn't get worn down by the travel schedule of the 82-game NBA season.
Right.
Although it's got to be a culture shock.
Right, but he's traveled quite a bit, obviously, in his recruiting wars, and
that's what he probably thinks.
Right.
He probably says,
Same thing.
okay,
I'm going to be in the airport no matter what.
Yeah, I might as well do it as an NBA coach as opposed to, having all this grease surrounding me when I'm trying to recruit legitimately, and I know that coaches out there are sliding $100 bills in shoeboxes when I'm playing it clean. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons Mata got tired of the whole thing. Thad Mata. Because he was another one who was squeaky clean.
Correct.
And he's probably looking around
Although he
going,
had health problems.
how am I supposed to compete? What's that?
He had some health problems.
Okay. But I also think it didn't kill him to leave, because he's looking around at some of his contemporaries going, really? That's how you landed this guy? Oh, okay.
I think the most impressive thing, and I've said this almost every night this week, and if you've been watching all week, you know what I'm about to say, that is that so many NBA players are sending their sons to play for Beilein. That's got to tell you something right there.
Sure. Now, Les, I'll say this. Of the two hires, which is more curious, Beilein to the Cavs or Juwan Howard to Michigan? I mean, I say Juwan Howard to Michigan is a little bit odd, considering, I don't know, Juwan Howard's part of the Fab Five. The Fab Five took over the campus and took them to 2 Final Fours, but there's no evidence of it in the arena because those banners are down.
That's true. Somebody sent me a quickie and said, how come Juwan Howard will have to take a pay cut from the last time he was at Ann Arbor? Not fair.
Listen, and I'm not saying Juwan Howard won't do a good job there, and I'm not saying that he was part of the issues that led to this.
But he's got a long NBA career and has coached at the NBA level.
Yeah, he's got
assistant.
He's got enough credentials to be the coach. I just think it's interesting that a guy who is part of the Fab Five
is not part of the tradition now.
Is really
in history.
what does he say to a recruit? Yeah, I was Fab Five. Well, where are your banners? Not that those kids would care, I guess, when they're being recruited.
Northfield Park, you're home for live and simulcast racing. You get the excitement of live harness racing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Saturday evenings, and a special racing card this holiday weekend on Sunday, May 26th, post time 6 p.m. Free parking, free admission every day at Northfield Park. Each week, the Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program recognizes students who are role models from across the state of Ohio. This week, we head to Jackson High School to meet Yanni Scariotis. Yanni excels in baseball and in the classroom as well. The Ohio Lottery proud to salute Yanni Scariotis, this week's Shining Star.
As a sophomore, Yanni Scariotis pitched a complete game, picking up the win in the state championship game for Jackson High School. 2 years later, Scariotis just keeps getting better and better.
He has that ability to use both corners, and I think that allows him then to use his secondary pitches, which are, they're plus pitches. He's able to use multiple secondary pitches, and I think that's how you get, really good hitters and elite hitters out, is you're able to get them in certain counts and be able to throw your pitch instead of having to throw a hitter's pitch. So he's been able to do that, and he's learned from that.
I think it's actually, pitching inside to be able to go outside with the fastball and the curveball, or, pitching to my strength and the hitter's weakness is always a good thing. But it's basically, I can locate the ball in and out, and I want to keep doing that as much as I can, because that's my strength, is controlling the fastball and using the fastball to complement my off-speed pitches.
In this, his senior season, Scariotis is unbeaten and didn't allow an earned run throughout the entire regular season. Scariotis entered this year's tournament a perfect 27-0 at Jackson.
Mindset is basically one pitch at a time, because, I can't be worried about a strikeout 0-0, because, throw a fastball outside, ground ball, hit, home run, something. You can't be worried about the next two pitches. You can't be worried about the next pitch. You have to be worried about the pitch that's right in front of you, because that's the only one you have at the moment.
We've seen the maturity, handling spots, handling adversity, I think, is the biggest thing. I think his last outing, he got into a jam a little bit, pitched his way out of it, used his defense. That's a little different. We're seeing those mature innings coming out of him, and those are exciting.
As hard as it may be to believe, Yanni is just as good in the classroom as he is on the mound. He carries a 4.9 GPA, scored a 33 on his ACT, and was named the Sam DeBlasey Commissioner's Male Scholar Athlete of the Year for the entire Federal League. Colleges obviously took notice. Scariotis will pitch for the Ohio State Buckeyes next season.
I'm extremely excited. It's a perfect fit for me. I've always wanted to go there. The coaches are really, really good there. What made me kind of choose there is that during our state championship run, they came to every single start, every single game that I had. From, I was in relief the first tournament game, and starting in the last championship game, they were there every single inning. They stayed in contact with me, and, they gave me as much time as I needed, let me go explore different schools and stuff like that. So, they're great people there.
Well, if you know of a student deserving of recognition, visit OhioLottery.com. Go to the About section, then find the tab that is marked Supporting Education to nominate him or her as an academic all-star. He or she could end up as one of our shining stars from the Ohio Lottery. D-Man, how would you grade that read that I just had? Was that you were grading How Come Quickies?
A+, no matter what you do, Les. I was checking the updated home run totals, Major League Baseball. The Minnesota Twins are now up 15-2 and have hit 8 home runs. The 8 home runs today give them 98 for the season. 98 in their 49th game. The Cleveland Indians have 51 in 48 games.
It's almost half, a little over half.
The Indians trail the Twins by 47 home runs.
We have come to the portion of the show where you get to grade the How Come Quickies of our friend John Patrick out of 10. But before we do that, I want to just respond to Jerry Abadini, I believe it's pronounced. He just wrote a tremendous letter. He's been watching me or listening to me since the WHK days back a long time ago. That would be in the 90s, and we appreciate the very, very kind comments. All right, got a couple of quickies from John Patrick. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Les and Dennis. How come eating alphabet soup is like putting words in my mouth.
That's an A right out of the gate. Love that one.
Well, we do it out of 10, 1 to 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, so
10.
wait for the 2. That's a 10. Okay.
Yes.
Uh-oh. If you give this one a 10, that means he may stop sending them in. How come books about dieting aren't found in the fiction section? Or above your head?
Yeah, I missed
I
that
assume that means that nobody follows the diets. You're going to give that about a 7.5.
7.5. Too complex.
Too complex. didn't contain the essence of a How Come Quickie. John, we appreciate that very much, as you know. All right, what do you got? Got about 2 minutes to fill right here. You want to fill it on? You want to rant? Hoinsey isn't here to rant. What do you got?
I didn't expect to be talking about too much about the Minnesota Twins today, other than the fact that they were leading the division by 7 games entering tonight. But we realized the makeup game was, in fact, this afternoon.
Yeah.
They're bludgeoning the Angels with 8 bombs. And now they
8
have
bombs on the road.
They have 98 home runs.
And the Indians have 51.
And the Indians have 51. And I did check, too, Marlins no triples last night.
Right.
So the Indians and the Marlins tied for last in the
pressure
majors
stays on.
with 0 triples. Who's going to get the first
I say
one for the
Kipnis
Indians?
gets the first one. I think he finds a gap. The guy, center fielder, falls down trying for it, and it's a triple.
I say Frankie. He rises to the occasion.
I don't want him to do that. I don't want him
moments.
putting too much pressure on his ankle.
That's right. The last
That's
thing
all we need.
That's just what the Indians need. Frankie Lindor, realizing his team has 0 triples,
Right.
stretches it, and all of a sudden the ankle
Slows
goes
down, turning
kaflooey.
first, and takes the bandage off, throws it away, and then hurts it going.
Do we have an
into third.
update on Tribe Tampa? I'm sorry, I got so wrapped up in
we'll get one somewhere
so wrapped
along
up
the
in the
line here.
Twins. But you were right at the top of the show, Les. It bears repeating. You got to keep an eye on what the Indians do in the next couple of weeks because they're playing quality teams. And if you see this deficit for the division grow to 10 and beyond, then you start to wonder what are they going to do with certain people.
If this becomes 10 by the time Minnesota leaves after a 3-game series here, it's probably time to break it up.
And I mean, I know they could claim, hey, we got a shot at a wild card, but how serious were you chasing a wild card when you're going to downshift the payroll over the offseason?
No, I think you made your choice. You're going to win the division or nothing, right?
Agreed. That's what I think they did, yes.
All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to wrap things up. The Indians and Tampa Bay over at Progressive Field tonight. And
our good buddy Brian Anderson, I assume, is in with Dwayne Stats.
They're terrific.
They're awesome.
Yeah. You got a play-by-play guy by the name of Brian Anderson. You got our Brian Anderson. You got a pitcher and an outfielder. Yes. So hi everybody, this is Brian Anderson along with Brian Anderson. Anderson pitching, and he throws a slider, and Anderson hits it to right center field.
I've told you this, Les. Your buddy Steve Stone with Dwayne Stats on Cubs games was as good as it got.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. I will see you on Tuesday. I'm on the air with Andy Baskin tomorrow from 10 to 2 on 92.3 The Fan. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.